She floored the gas like she owned the road, slamming my ranch gate open as if it was her private driveway. Dust flew everywhere while she yelled, "This land is community property, you can't block me." I stood there holding the broken chain in my hand, my jaw tight, my blood boiling, but I said nothing. I let her think she won, because deep down I already had a plan. The neighbors whispered that she was part of some HOA committee nobody ever voted for, and now she was pushing fake rules on everyone. She left smug, her SUV's tires tearing up my dirt road, but what she didn't notice were the cameras hidden in the posts, and the extra reinforcement I had added the night before. As the gate swung back slowly, bent and rattling, I whispered to myself, "All right, Karen, game on." She thought it was just a gate, but it was a trap waiting for her. The next morning she came back, sunglasses on, blasting her horn like a queen demanding passage. She didn't even slow down. She aimed straight for the gate again. Only this time, instead of swinging wide open, the reinforced steel locked in place with a loud metallic clang. Her SUV smashed into it and screeched to a stop. The bumper bent, her face frozen in shock. She jumped out screaming, "You'll pay for this. I'll have you arrested." She pulled out a crumpled paper, waving it around like it was law. "This is an HOA violation notice. You can't trap me on public access land." I walked forward calmly, dust crunching under my boots. "Public access?" I said, pointing at the survey markers along the fence. "This is my land. You've been trespassing every single time." She tried to cover her panic with more yelling, but her hands shook as she dialed her phone. "Yeah, send the officers. Right now." "He's threatening me!" I almost laughed. She didn't realize the hidden cameras caught every second of her trespassing and fake HOA notices. She also didn't realize who she had just summoned to my ranch. She called the cops on me, but I wasn't the one who should be scared. Minutes later, dust clouds rose on the horizon. Two men in uniform stepping out of an old black SUV with flashing lights slapped on top. They weren't county sheriffs. Their badges looked cheap, like they came off eBay. Karen ran to them, shrieking, "Arrest him! He assaulted me and destroyed my car." She pointed at my untouched boots and then at the dented front of her own SUV. The so-called officers nodded like they already believed her. One even pulled out handcuffs, grinning. I stood there quiet, letting the scene play out. "You sure you boys are law enforcement?" I asked. They puffed up their chests. "We're the HOA police." "That's enough authority." Karen smirked, thinking she had won. The neighbors had gathered at the fence line, phones recording, whispers spreading. I reached slowly into my jacket and Karen screamed, "He's going for a weapon." The fake cops lunged forward until I pulled out a leather case and flipped it open. The gold badge gleamed in the sun. "Federal Bureau of Investigation," I said, my voice cold. The crowd gasped. Karen's smirk collapsed into wide-eyed shock and the fake cops froze mid-step. She brought fake cops to my gate, but I was the real law standing in front of her. Silence fell so heavy you could hear the wind scraping across the dry grass. Karen's face went pale, but her pride wouldn't let her back down. "This is harassment," she screamed, voice cracking. "He's impersonating an officer. Arrest him now." The fake cops glanced at each other, sweat dripping down their foreheads. They had walked into the wrong yard and now they knew it. I stepped closer, eyes locked on them. "You two want to keep playing dress-up, or do you want to explain why you're carrying counterfeit badges?" One of them stuttered, "We're just here to keep the peace." I raised an eyebrow. "Then why is your SUV registered to Karen's husband?" The crowd erupted in gasps. Phones zoomed in, recording every second. Karen lunged at me, trying to snatch the badge out of my hand, but I sidestepped easily. She stumbled in the dirt, furious, screaming that the FBI had no authority in her community. That's when the sound of real sirens cut through the tension. Red and blue lights rolled over the field as county deputies pulled up behind her wrecked SUV. She thought she controlled the law, until the real law showed up. The real deputies stepped out slow and steady, hands resting on their belts, eyes scanning the scene. One of them, a tall man with a buzz cut and mirrored sunglasses, looked straight at me and nodded. "Agent Cole?" I gave a short nod back. "These the impersonators?" he asked. Before I could answer, Karen exploded. "Finally. Arrest him! He blocked public land, assaulted me, and now he's flashing a fake FBI badge." She shoved the fake HOA notice toward the deputy like it was a federal order. He took it, glanced at the sloppy seal, then looked back at her. "Ma'am, this isn't even laminated." The crowd laughed. Karen's face turned a deep shade of red, but she doubled down. He's dangerous. He set a trap.
He damaged my car.
One deputy walked over to her SUV and pointed to the cameras attached to my reinforced gate. These cameras yours? No, Karen snapped. Then I guess you're on federal footage committing property damage and trespassing. Karen froze. What? I stepped forward and tapped my phone. A live feed popped up, showing the moment she rammed through my gate the day before, and the earlier scene of her calling in her private HOA police. The fake cops didn't wait around. They raised their hands in surrender, one of them blurting, "She paid us. $100 each to scare him." Karen spun around, eyes wild. "You cowards. Don't throw me under the bus. Too late." One deputy slapped cuffs on the taller fake cop. Another approached Karen. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for conspiracy, trespassing, destruction of property, and impersonation of authority." She screamed like a banshee, twisting, shouting, "I am the HOA president. I run this neighborhood." I stepped beside the arresting deputy, voice low but clear. "Not anymore." She brought fake power to my land and left in real handcuffs. Karen thrashed against the cuffs as the deputies dragged her toward the cruiser, her voice echoing across the ranch. "You don't know who I am. My brother's on the city council. I'll have your jobs, all of you." The neighbors pressed closer to the fence, phones high, some even laughing out loud. For years she had bullied them with fake rules, phony fines, and threats of lawsuits. Now all of that was crumbling in real time, recorded from every angle. One deputy shook his head. "Funny thing, ma'am. We already got calls about you impersonating officials in other neighborhoods. Looks like this isn't your first rodeo." Karen's eyes went wide, her bravado cracking. "That's a lie," she snapped. But the fake cop she'd hired shouted from the back of the patrol car, "She runs scams. HOA fines, bogus tickets, she pockets everything." The crowd gasped again. One older neighbor yelled, "I paid you $2,000 for a noise violation last year." Another woman screamed, "You threatened to take my house if I didn't cut down my trees." Karen's voice trembled, but she kept trying to scream over them. "None of this will stick. I'll sue every one of you." But the panic in her eyes told the truth. She wasn't in control anymore, she was exposed. I stood there calm, arms folded, watching her world collapse. For once, she had no fake papers, no fake cops, no fake power to hide behind. Just cold steel on her wrists and a dozen cameras recording her downfall. She thought her HOA scams would stay hidden, until the whole neighborhood turned on her. As the deputy secured Karen in the cruiser, the neighbors started clapping, some even cheering. Phones flashed, live streams went viral in real time. For years, people had whispered about her scams, but no one dared challenge her, until she hit the wrong man's gate. One deputy turned to me. "Agent Cole, you want to press additional charges?" I nodded slowly. "Property damage, harassment, impersonation of authority. And make sure the DA knows she used fake law enforcement." The deputy smirked. "Don't worry. She won't be running any more HOAs from jail." Karen thrashed in the back seat, screaming through the window, "This isn't over. I'll get my land back." I walked closer, my voice steady but sharp. "This land was never yours. And I didn't fight for this country just to let someone like you steal it." She froze, words dying in her throat as the deputies drove her away, sirens fading into the distance. The neighbors crowded around me, some shaking my hand, others just relieved. One old veteran saluted quietly from the fence line. I returned it without a word. This wasn't just about me anymore, it was about every family she had bullied. Every lie she had told, every right she had tried to take. I looked back at my reinforced gate, still standing strong under the morning sun. For the first time in months, it felt like real peace. Karen's reign of fake power was finished, and the land was safe again. She tried to use fear and fake power, but in America, real justice always wins.